I called Jenny up the stairs. Why I did, I didn't really know, as it was probably best for her not to see it. I bent down closer to the fragmented body. His hand was left hanging onto a rail on the side of the bar. It was caped in dry black blood. I referred to it, as I knew not what it had once been, male or female. This seemed hardly to matter. What I was more concerned over was what had caused this death, and more so that it was the first body that I had come across since my awakening. Its face showed that of absolute terror. Its eyes seemed slightly ajar from their sockets, as if in those last moments of life, in the transition that every creature must make from life to ultimate death, the scream had been so violent as the pain that his eyes had ajarred. Its teeth also showed these signs, as they seemed to be further out than was normal. On the floor lay a clue to his identity, a man's golden wedding ring, still firmly attached to his finger. What must the moment of death have been like? What had caused this terrible pain? The walls were covered in thick black blood. It would seem as if it had been splattered. This fitted with the way the body was now presented, like shattered glass. Both Jenny and I looked at each other. She held onto my hand tight. In that moment I felt a sensation which had long been dormant within me. How strange, I thought, to feel a sense of unity, now when everything around me had gone. I consoled her and closed the door on our victim to rest in peace. We both went down the stairs to the kitchen and sat eating from the contents of this fridge, of which had at some stage been that of the owner of this house, who lay dead in the bathroom. It was with an uneasiness we ate his food, but there was no other choice. I felt an uneasiness at sleeping within this house, quite well knowing that such a horrific death had taken place, and knowing that the body lay next to the bedroom. I lay looking up at the ceiling, pondering over what possibly could have happened to him. Maybe, like me, he had been attacked, or maybe whatever had caused the city's decay had been responsible for his death. There was no real way of knowing, but it caused shivers down my back every time I thought of it. Why was I alive? Why was Jenny alive? Those tramps that attacked me, what was wrong with them? Why did they want to kill me? And this man laying in the bathroom, what was his connection to all of this? I couldn't sleep, so I went downstairs and unlocked the back door to a small garden. I looked up at the sky full of stars and felt a surreal sense of wonderment. Looking above at these familiar signs seemed to make me rest assured. I came back in from the cold and went up to the bathroom to take another look at the body, now that Jenny was fast asleep. Up close I could find no marks or wounds. It seemed as if the body had itself ripped apart. The skin from the stomach area to the legs was ripped, and a long piece of skin dangled like when you pull something apart. It wasn't cut with a knife, but pulled apart. How this could have occurred I do not know, but it certainly fitted with the expression on the face. I removed the hand carefully from the bath rail and found no skin or hair or anything to suggest a struggle had taken place. I now knew from all this that it had not been attacked, that something happened from within. But what I still didn't know is what caused this human combustion to take place. I closed the eyes of the victim and returned to bed, but I confess I did not take much in the way of sleep, as my mind kept trying to understand a situation that seemed without understanding. In the early hours of the morning, Jenny and I were awoken by a colossal loud sound. Immediately we recognized the sound of an aeroplane, but it must have been flying so low we quickly ran outside. The plane was high up in the sky, but it was not flying horizontally. Quickly Jenny rushed back inside the house to find some binoculars, but couldn't, and came back with a camcorder. I quickly turned it on and zoomed straight into the plane, and what I saw I could hardly describe. I could see the windows of the plane, I could see the people screaming and people clambering on top of one another, where there was no escape. I could see children crying, and hands smashing on the glass windows. One of the windows broke, and out fell something from the plane. I followed the object down, which only after rewinding and checking later, I found it to be that of a woman who had either jumped with desperation or fallen out of the plane. I moved the camera further down the plane, and it seemed a whole different picture. There was no movement, and then I noticed on the window blood. As I moved back up the plane, I saw more blood and the same motionless movement, but just a few seconds ago there was movement. From the window that was broken, I now saw blood dripping from the plane. It was as if the plane had been okay until it flew where the fog had been. That this fog had been more than it seemed, and death came to those that breathed. I had no more time to look. As Jenny tugged at me, moving my eye away from the camcorder, I realized that the plane was heading straight for us. It was going to crash in the dead city.